Want to get creeped out? Let's talk about Alice Kyteler, a woman who was accused of witchcraft, and I'm not sure if she was a witch, but she definitely might have been a serial killer. There were many charges that were laid against her. Many of her husbands were unalived, and I just want to tell you guys what occurred during this Irish witch trial. It was nutso. Alice Kyteler lived from sometime around 1263 to 1325, and she holds the dubious honor of being the first recorded woman accused of witchcraft in Ireland. She fled the country to either England or Flanders, and there is no record of her after her escape from prosecution. The laundry list of charges against her includes some wild claims, like denying the power of Christ and of the church. During this time, denunciating faith was considered rather to be worshiping the devil. She was also accused of sacrificing animals to demons, specifically a woman named Ardis Filius, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, and Robin Ardison. Ardis Filius was a woman that allegedly consorted with demons by seeking advice from them on her sorceries, and she also allegedly had carnal relations with an incubus. The incubus being Robin Ardison. Robin Artesian? I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. Sue me. So Alice was also accused of asking questions related to sorcery of Robin, this incubus, and from Ardis, this demon. She also allegedly had relations with Robin while he would take the form of different animals while they were engaging. Quite the accusation. Question, was this the world's first furries? Just wondering. They would also allegedly hold coven meetings and burn candles in the church at night without permission. Big no-no. They would make dark magic-based powders, ointments, or potions, which apparently included alarming ingredients, including but not limited to body parts of underage people that had not been baptized, that were quite young, worms, a skull, and chicken innards. This probably wasn't true, but this was on the list. These alleged potions were said to corrupt Alice's husbands. Lastly, she was charged with bewitching and unaliving her husbands to take the money for herself and her biological son, William Outlaw. Her tale starts in County Kilkenny, where she was born into a well-off family, and she had quite the marital journey, tying the knot 4 different times with notable figures in the community. It was 1280 when Alice married her first husband, William Outlaw. He passed in 1285, and Alice received a hefty sum of money. It was later in 1302 when her escapades started to attract a crowd, or attract quite a bit of attention, especially when her and her second husband were accused of offing her first husband. Alice's involvement in money lending and her considerable wealth didn't exactly help her case. She wasn't winning any local popularity contests, let's put it that way. Sometime shortly thereafter, Alice's second husband passes away, and she receives a hefty sum of money. In 1309, Alice marries her third husband, Richard de Val. In 1316, Alice's third husband, Richard, passes away, and she sues his heir, her stepson, for the widow's share, receiving a hefty sum of money. This act incited the suspicion and anger in her stepchildren, as they would have received the money had she not intervened. That same year, Alice marries her fourth husband, Jean Le Poer. I don't know. Things now take a dramatic turn when her fourth husband falls ill and there is suspected foul play. Although Alice's first 3 husbands didn't raise any allegations of witchcraft against her, her fourth husband, John, started pointing fingers when he fell ill. However, he wasn't accusing her of witchcraft. He was actually hinting that she was poisoning him and that was the cause of his sickness, especially considering the suspicious passing of his predecessors. Accusations flew after his demise, which occurred in 1324, with her stepchildren pointing fingers at her for sorcery and poisoning their fathers, as well as showing favoritism towards her biological son. This most likely occurred because just before John passed away, John altered his will to favor Alice and her biological son. Super sus. This move didn't sit well with his children from a previous marriage obviously, who then accused Alice of bewitching their father and labeled her as a poisoner. The association with herbalism and witchcraft during that time likely fueled these accusations. Her fourth husband has now passed away. All of her stepchildren are accusing her of poisoning and bewitching their fathers, and the association with herbalism and witchcraft at that time is kind of fueling the fire. The same year that Alice's fourth husband passed away, there comes this bishop, and he is determined to uphold church law and morality, and he accuses Alice and her associates of witchcraft and heresy. But Alice had powerful friends in high places. The bishop's attempt to bring her to justice faced resistance, and this actually wound up getting him imprisoned in March and April of that year. And this was at the hands of Alice's allies. Despite political struggles, the bishop pressed on, accusing Alice and her son of heresy. Now, Alice's trial takes another dramatic turn when Alice's servant, Patronia de Meath, confesses under torture to participating in witchcraft. Her testimony, though coerced, formed the backbone of the case against Alice. Here's the really sad part. Petronia was then flogged and burned at the stake on November 3rd, 1324. However, doubts lingered about the credibility of the evidence, including a questionable pipe of ointment, which I mentioned in the previous video, found in Alice's bedroom, likely a euphemism for a toy, But before justice could be served, Alice and her companion, Basilia, which was Patronia's daughter, made a daring escape. Although other associates faced conviction, Alice herself vanished into the ether, leaving behind a trail of mystery. The exact details of her fate, including when and where she passed away, remain shrouded in mystery. Let's talk about Alice's accusers and their motives. So first we have the Catholic Church and the bishop. The church wielded significant influence during Alice's trial. Back then, the church and the legal system in Ireland were very much one. They were closely intertwined. While the church often preferred religious reform for heretics as punishment, Alice and her servant, Patronia, were denied this opportunity, which was very unusual. This was likely due to resentment stemming from preemptive attacks against the bishop, aka having him imprisoned. Although Alice didn't confess, there was also a massive lack of remorse, coupled with Patronia's confession. It didn't help Alice get any leniency, that's for sure. However, Alice's son, William Outlaw, received a lighter sentence after apologizing to the bishop, indicating a personal bias on the bishop's part. Additionally, while Alice may have been involved with her husband's unalivings, I think she probably was, that's super sus. Prosecuting her for unaliving was difficult due to the historical context of noble feuds in the British Isles. Accusing her of witchcraft, a more taboo crime than unaliving at that time, offered a better chance of punishment. Since there was no specific law for witchcraft in Ireland at the time, the trial was conducted under ecclesiastical law, which, from what I can understand, means that the law was set by a specific church. Therefore, Alice was treated as a heretic rather than a common criminal. Alice's marital history definitely raised some eyebrows. I know it raises mine. Each of her husbands conveniently left her with a hefty sum of money upon their demise. While love might have initially brought them together, the speed at which she remarried and then those husbands met untimely demises suggest a more pragmatic move. It's so sus, girl. Like, you're sus. It sounds like a move for cold, hard cash. This financial windfall was likely the talk of the town, feeding suspicions that her marital choices were more about her bank account than her heart. Medieval Ireland wasn't exactly a beacon of gender equality. Divorce and annulment was rare, mainly granted for specific reasons like prolonged absence or impotence. Alice might have felt trapped in her marriages, unable to find a legal way out. This constraint, combined with open societal scorns for her open displays of sexuality, could have pushed her towards more extreme measures, like poisoning and unaliving her husbands. Girl. She ate and left no crumbs. I think that's supposed to be a good thing, but I'm not sure this was. I don't know. The consequences of her actions, alleged actions, resulted in many charges being laid against her. But ultimately, she fled, she escaped, she vanished. Meanwhile, her associates faced brutal punishment, including her son. He faced charges of heresy. He was excommunicated. He was imprisoned until he eventually sought forgiveness. Alice's tale is one of intrigue, power struggles, and the lengths that one might go to in pursuit of wealth and freedom in this medieval time. Wow, what a doozy. Anyways, that's it for this one. Thank you if you stuck around for the whole video, and stay spooky.